Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Arthur Invests. So excited to be with you this afternoon. One of the things that came across my email the other day with somebody from Bigger Pockets, I used to be an active contributor there on the site and even got interviewed on one of the podcasts way back when. I think I'm like episode number 8 when they were just getting started. So once in a while I get some emails. And one of the emails I got was just the age-old question. And the question of, if you're going to get into the rental property business, do you want to directly be managing those yourself, or should you hire somebody else to do it? And so what I thought I would do today is just take a few minutes to explain kind of why I've chosen to just take a hands-off approach to managing my assets and why I thought it was more advantageous for my life to outsource that to somebody else completely. And even though, I could be leaving money on the table, potentially giving up a percentage of different things when it comes to placing tenants or even getting things repaired, why I've chosen to just completely subtract that from my life. Okay, so let me give you the reason. Let me give you some ideas. Okay, and so when I first started, I'll give you a little bit of history. When I first started in the business about 13 years ago, I actively managed my properties. And I kind of recommend this for some folks. If you're just getting started, you maybe only have one property, maybe two. It's not a bad way to go if you can do it in a way that makes you, if you can streamline things and you don't mind interacting with the tenants. I, however, didn't really enjoy that, even though I grew up in a home where, you fix your house, you do your own things on your own. I had a hard time kind of letting go of that. So I thought, well, naturally, if I'm going to get into rental property, well, this is a great opportunity to just kind of do it myself, right? So I downloaded applications, I interviewed tenants, I ran their credit, and then I put them in the property. And there's a couple of things that came out of that. One, I had extreme visibility, which was really good. I knew who I was putting in my property. I understood their background and kind of their motivation for why they want to get in. I looked at their income. I could see all those different pieces. So from a visibility standpoint, I had complete control. I liked that. I knew what they needed. They had access to me if they needed to fix something. And I also knew when and if they were going to be late. Okay. That was good until it wasn't. See, the properties I purchased at the time were about 45 minutes away was the closest. And the furthest was about 2 hours away in a market that's kind of in Central California, where I live in LA. So I had some stuff in the Inland Empire and then some stuff in Central California. And it became very difficult to do that and have a full-time job. And let me just give you an example. When a property would come vacant, well, I would drive all the way up there, meet the contractor, or I would do the work myself. And so that would destroy my whole weekend. My wife and I literally would be, raking bushes and painting walls and installing furniture, or not furniture, installing cabinets. And that's what we would do for the weekend. And it's like, when you look at the dollars that you make in cash flow, it's not a great return on your time. I mean, a round trip to Central Valley is 2 hours and then 2 hours back. So that's 4 hours plus 3 to 5 hours doing work on the property. So that's a full day. And when you factor in gas and time, it just became one of those things. And so I found that for me, my personality wise, I'd get stressed out every time we'd get to the end of the month. Was my tenant going to pay? Were they not going to pay? Was I going to have to evict them? Is this going to come out to an awkward conversation? From a legal standpoint, did I cover all my bases? Did I make sure all the applications were submitted properly? Is the contract solid if we do need to go to court, right? And I do need to evict them. All these things would run through my mind for like a full week until I got the rent payment. And then it would start up again the next month. So I constantly had that occupying mind space. Secondly, if I was out with my family on the weekend, I was always afraid of the dreaded call from the tenant. And it happened several times where, a pipe burst or the water got shut off from the city and we needed to send a contractor up there. There was a lot of things that happened, and I really didn't enjoy that. I was on edge even on the weekend when I wasn't supposed to be working. So my hypothesis changed from rental property and an asset should be something that makes me passive income or less active, right? Less active, something I shouldn't have to proactively go and manage myself. I want to be able to take a passive role in it and let the asset accumulate equity and pay down the loan and experience and realize all the tax benefits. The cash flow is something that's there to secure the asset, pay any type of problems that are there, make sure it covers all the repair costs. It just stabilizes the asset. So anyway, with that said, that was one big factor, all the stress and headaches resulting in the whole reason people don't want to get into property manager, right? All those things you have to manage. That was one piece. The second piece is I realized that the bulk of my income and the bulk of my return on my investment is me, right? If I can become really good at my job, I'm in sales. I can make a lot, or I would say I can do very well. I'll leave it at that. And more time I spent focused on my job, putting my energy towards this in my career, I can get an infinite return on that, right? I can move to a different role. I can get a bigger account. I can close more deals. And so when I think about that, I have to ask, what's the highest and best use of my time? And it just came down to that at the end of the day. Is it best spent driving up on the weekends trying to save $1,500 to just have a contractor do the work? Or is it worth, $100 a month to just let a property manager go and fulfill those issues with my tenants and take care of any contractor related issues? And for me, the answer was a resounding yes. Do I lose visibility? Do I lose control? Do I get a little bit of the top cut off when the property manager places a tenant, or he kind of takes a little bit from maybe overcharging me on a repair or something of that nature? Well, maybe there's a very good chance that could be the case. However, the freedom that I get, and then let me explain what the freedom looks like. The freedom looks like somebody who has a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio doesn't have to actively manage their portfolio. I spend, and I'm not joking, I spend less than 30 minutes a month, maybe an hour on a busy month. And that mostly will be me just confirming a few things with my property manager. We built out a system where they don't reach out to me unless it's a bill over $150. From a tenant placement standpoint, we have standards in place. They already know what I'm looking for. And so the only time I'm really interacting with them is if, one, there's a really hairy issue that they haven't solved, which doesn't happen very often, or two, we are looking at acquiring a new property, which is fun. I like talking to them about those things. And so when I boiled all those things down, I mean, look, we consolidated our whole portfolio into Central California. Logistically, it's just not possible. I have a family and a wife and a career here in SoCal. I just don't have the energy and bandwidth I did in my 20s to go up there every weekend. And so they manage it full stop. Even when we go do new acquisitions, they'll look at the property. They're also real estate agents, so they can facilitate the transaction, even tenant placement, any type of repairs they take care of. They do charge a percentage of some of those to place some of the tenants and even to do some repairs. But again, I think from my standpoint, the freedom that I get, and then this is a little bit intangible, right? Like if you live 5 minutes away from your property, maybe it's not worth it. But for me, it's an expense that I can write off. Again, the point of these assets is to grow wealth and to make it stress-free or hassle-free as I can. And so that's really, when I think about my portfolio and the way I'm going to keep growing, I just have to account for that kind of a spread in my deal. So if I'm going to go buy a property, I have to factor in property management as part of the equation for holding costs. And so I will tell you, as somebody who's been doing it for the better part of a decade plus now, it's worked out really well. And it's something that I plan on continue doing until I eventually either liquidate the portfolio or move into a completely different asset class or go to another market. But those are just some thoughts. Somebody who's been doing it for a while, owned multiple single family homes, consolidated around one property manager. You do get the benefit of leverage and price control, and you can work with the same person to do a lot. So I would say those are a lot of the things that I think about as I think about whether or not somebody should get into property management. This is somebody who's a bit bullish. Will they care about the property the same way you will? Do they do all the things that you would? No and no. But at the end of the day, is the squeeze worth the juice? And for me, it is. I can just simply focus on my career and my family and let the asset manage itself, or the property manager take care of it. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope that was insightful. If you have questions, you liked it, you want to make some notes at the bottom, feel free to leave a comment, hit the like button, and we'll catch you on the next one, everyone. Take care.